Welcome to another edition of Tattooed Athlete. This is a super exciting episode where I connect with Eric Botsford. Eric has been all across the fitness space for a number of years, including the past 6+ years as the training director for Tough Mudder. He's a 7-time CrossFit Games regional athlete, and you may have even seen him on CBS. Coming up for Eric, he's going to be working for HYROX, the World Series of Fitness. He also has some incredible tattoos that we get to take a look at. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy. Hello, Tattooed Athletic Club, and welcome to another edition of Tattooed Athlete. I'm pleased to be joined today by Eric Botsford. Eric, how's it going, man?
Man, so good, man. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm excited.
Absolutely, it's good to see you. I know you and I met a couple years ago out at the CrossFit Games, which was awesome, and we've been able to keep in touch over the past few years. But man, I can't even begin to try to give you an intro. It seems like you wear all kinds of hats, so.
Yeah.
So high level, what are the things that you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have that same discussion. My parents never know how to tell people what I do. So I probably like yourself, right? I was an athlete, you were an athlete. That's what we wanted to do. And so I've kind of just tried to morph my role and my hustle, if you will, in the fitness world, to accommodate whatever was in front of me at that time, and different projects that I created on my own. So high level stuff, going back 12+ years, I've been a CrossFit gym owner. That was like my thing. Owner, coach, that was the deal, and athlete in the CrossFit game space. So that's kind of where that whole thing started. And in the past, I don't know, it's probably must be over 6 years now. I took on the training director role with Tough Mudder. So that meant kind of a lot of things that you know about from the Ragnar world, right? It's, going to events, being the personality for the brand, developing training protocols. And then in 2017, I launched a bunch of different things happened in 2017. We did a couple TV shows. So I did some CBS work. So if you're looking for a broadcaster, hey, I'm out here.
You're our guy.
Yeah. And then we did a TV show for CBS. We did launched a new gym concept, which brought me back into the gym space. I'd been out for kind of a minute, doing so many things you do, out there personality wise. So we got back into the gym space, created a gym concept for Tough Mudder, which allowed for people to, kind of that bridge that we were kind of seeing that was missing there between training for the event and actually participating in the event. So there's that. I'm currently, since COVID's kind of thrown everything around, I'm currently working for the Loud and Live crew, the Wodapalooza, the group that produces Wodapalooza, hosting a challenge, the Renew You Challenge currently.
Right.
And which is going awesome. I love this project because I think of all things necessary in our time right now, it is like this reconnection, not only with ourselves, but with the community at large, whether it be the worldwide fitness community or just our gyms itself. So pretty much anything and everything in athletics, particularly around the fitness space, is kind of where I land. That's the biggest. That's the best way I can kind of explain it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I feel like every time we connect, it's like you're involved in something else. I'm like, man, this dude's got it. He's got it. He's got it figured out. So what prior to you, and you were regionals athlete, right? 7 times.
Regional guys. Yep. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so what got you into CrossFit? What was it that kind of got you moving that direction?
Yeah. So great question. So my buddy, Diablo CrossFit, a big CrossFit gym in California. They've sent a lot of athletes. So before Diablo CrossFit I'm from Northern California originally, just so everybody knows. I spent a lot of time living all over the place.
Right.
But in Northern California, I had a buddy. I worked out at this really cool story, man. So I was doing these workouts at this club, and it was kind of one of those bougie type of clubs, swimming pools and fancy people in the Bay Area, and it was whatever. And my buddy Jamie Lee was a trainer there, and Jamie, you might know him if you've been in the CrossFit States a long time. Jamie was a team athlete for the Diablo team when they went to the games, and has been part of the Diablo crew forever. So my buddy Jay, I was running around the gym doing like all these crazy like circuits, like on the treadmill, and then throwing some weights around and like, you know, doing a bunch of different things, like trying to like just act. And like Jamie comes over one day and I'll never forget. He's like, bro, you ever heard of this like CrossFit thing? This is like, mind you, this is like 2007, you know?
Okay.
So it was like, so it was a while ago. And I was like, no, man, cool. And so like I got on main site and I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like I'm just wanted, and started putting these things together at this club. And time goes by, and full disclosure, I was scared as shit to go into my first CrossFit. Like, and being an athlete, like knowing like, okay, I got this shit. Like I can do this. It still like took me some time. I was nervous, like going in. But then I was training to be a firefighter at that time. And so I ended up going to fire academy and then getting my first job out in like the Sacramento region, Northern California, and ended up walking into CrossFit Folsom Lake, if anybody's watching that crew. And I saw they had high rings, and I walked over to the high rings. I grabbed it. I did a muscle up, and everybody was like, what? This is like before that was a thing, right? And then the coach, still to this day, Ted, like dear friend of mine, was like, you're going to compete. And I was like, okay, cool. And being a former college athlete, I was like, whoa, you can like do this thing? Like, this is perfect. So that's that's what my first taste was, kind of jumping into the CrossFit world.
Right. Absolutely. So you just went in and everybody just sees this guy do a ring muscle up, immediate intimidation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that definitely. And then, but I was quickly put in my place, because if you CrossFitters out there and you know this deal, there's a workout called Air Force 20, and it's like a bunch of different barbell movements. And like every minute on the minute, you have to stop and do 5 burpees, and like you just have to chip your way through that thing. And I remember one of my first CrossFit workouts that humbled the shit out of me was that workout. I literally was like, how am I going to get done with all these reps? I was like nearly going to walk out of the gym. It was a total disaster. It took me like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or 15. I don't even know. It was a long time. And I was like, I was losing my shit, dude. Like I couldn't even take it anymore. So that was humbling. So I went in, felt pretty good about myself, and then did that workout, and it was like, okay, I got a lot to learn. So that was the humbling piece.
Right. And what about now? What are you doing to stay fit? Just working out at home?
So we're doing okay. So I'm over 40 now, and I am trying my best I have 2 teenage daughters, so I'm trying my best to still stay a relevant competitive athlete. I certainly, as probably a lot of the folks out there watching right now, have really grown to love team competitions. The years of massacring my body in individual competition, like I love it still, and 100%. There is nothing like walking on to like the regional floor or just like a local comp, or where it's you versus the other athletes, and you just got to lay it down for them. There's nothing that's ever going to beat that. But I certainly still train. I still love to compete. I will always compete. Forever and always. Like, I think it's just such a part of my soul. I have to do it. So, but in terms of training, as you see, we're kind of like right in the middle of the Mecca, the garage gym here in Golden, Colorado. So and I have everything I need right here. I have a bunch of gyms that I work out at here in the Denver and Golden area. So I'm very lucky to have such a rad community. And then obviously, just like you, we travel, right? Every time I get off a plane, the first thing I do is go and try to find a gym, CrossFit gym, fitness facility, somewhere where they're doing a group class, because I love connecting with people. And that's, once again, just probably like a lot of your folks that have done fitness for a long time. It's not necessarily about the fitness anymore, which I love, and I'll just maintain my health and well-being, but it's really about the people I work out with. So that's at the end of the day what I'm all about.
Absolutely. You nailed it there, man. Like you said, anytime I'm traveling, I'm finding new spots, and I love it. That's the coolest part of traveling, is seeing how different boxes are set up, meeting the new people, and building that community. So it's pretty awesome.
Yep, definitely. I'm stoked.
Awesome. So before we get into your tattoos, right? Because I'm excited. You got a lot going on. There it is. I'm curious, with you being in the fitness space across a lot of different platforms, what does the growth of tattoos look like to you?
It's so interesting, man, because once again, I'm 40 years old. I came up still kind of when tattoos weren't as cool as they were now. So it's really interesting to see people, especially in the fitness space, just be so comfortable with it now socially. And like, obviously, as we kind of like talked about before we went on here, right? So like most gyms now, we're half naked, we're running around, we're pretty open with our bodies or whatever. Like, you know, the form of self-expression, or the you know, people have always used tattoos to either like symbolize something important in their life, or it's like a self-expression piece, right? And so that self-expression has gotten obviously more widespread as more and more athletes are out there like getting tattooed, but also like the caliber of quality and like intricacy. I mean, I hope to get into it, dude. Like, I mean, I still like way into tattoo culture. So like, I think that all the fine, like the single needle stuff that I'm seeing, and just like these massive pieces on
Huge.
people's bodies are just like, they're extraordinary, dude.
Right. Right. It's come a long way from, you know, a heart or mom or barbed wire. Right. And they are very much pieces of art, which are incredible. And the vision that these artists have in the talent is just unreal. So, but I want to hear about yours, man. Let's dive
in. So I grew up just outside the Bay Area in Northern California. And so there's two things that were very, very prominent in my life when I was a teenage kid, because I was an angst-filled teenage kid. That was skateboarding and punk rock music. And so the Bay Area had a lot of both. So I hung out in downtown Oakland a lot, like clubs, venues, that type of thing. Skateboarding with my cousin and all my bros, like we would always be out downtown, like just like roaming around the Bay. And so anyway, like we came across Temple Tattoo, which I got to give a shout out, dude. To this day, you know, Freddie, Austin, you know, everybody at that studio, and who I'll talk about today, Jesse Tuesday, who now has a space in San Francisco, some of the most legendary artists like in the Bay, in the world, really. I mean, so yeah, we found Temple Tattoo, and then, you know, kind of growing up into our teen years, and then post high school, like teen, you know, like where we're, you know, 19, 20 years old, you know, living in the Bay, going to shows, doing our thing, that we just started hanging out at the Temple Tattoo a lot. So there was a good, probably, I don't know, a couple of years like where we would just literally be, I mean, you know, we were young kids and just kind of like rocking and rolling still. And so we would just get every cent that we had left, you know, we would go and like, you know, schedule a couple hours of tattooing and like just go start getting sleeved up, and, you know, all your Oakland tattoos. And, you know, we got the OBHC tat on my legs. Like, so, I mean, there's just a lot of different things that kind of transpired during that time and kind of are now reflected in my tattoos. So
there you go.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how I found tattooing. And then when my overall like theme, I guess, if you will, right? I like, and it was funny because like I have a 12 and a 14-year-old daughter. And last night at dinner, we were talking about tattoos. I mean, you can't get it. My wife's tattooed. I'm tattooed. It's like
right.
What we talk about. So we were talking about styles, and like, because my daughter's like, she's definitely gonna get a tattoo. My 12-year-old, she's already talking. I'm stoked. Like, I'm awesome. Just don't get anything stupid. All right, that's all.
Right.
Let me go with you. Right.
Yeah.
So I told her, I was like, there's two different ways that we can go about this. Right. You can go like, you know, like an old school, like, you know, just getting little pieces as you go, like everywhere. I really love that style. Or you can go nice and chunky, which is what I did, right? So I went big on for all my my pieces, and then kind of the overall overarching kind of theme of my tattoos, I guess you would say, is something. I was a philosophy guy, religious iconography. That was like a huge thing for me. Just like I grew up a Catholic kid, Irish Catholic kid, so like, you know, just rebelling against that whole thing, just going like, why the hell do I have to do, you know, why is this so pervasive in our lives? So like I started studying religion and studying philosophy during that time when I was younger, and realized that like so much of world religion is based on its icons, right? You know, so for instance, the Bhagavad Gita, the religious Hindu text is like my Bible, right? I've transitioned away from Catholicism, and I definitely am like more of an Eastern philosophy type of guy.
Okay.
And the Bhagavad Gita, you know, just how the story itself, if you haven't read it, it's amazing. It's an incredible poem. But anyway, so yeah, we have some religious stuff here, and then I have like, obviously angels and different things like that kind of rolling up there. I have like the heart with a crown of thorns from, the Bible, that type of thing. So it's, there's a lot of different things kind of going into it, but a lot of it's based on that religious bent.
Right, absolutely. And so that's both arms, right? Is that everything you have tattooed is all kind of has the same theme?
I would say so I have a big leg piece that is basically from the Bhagavad Gita. There's something in there called the Ashvata tree, which is like an upside down fig tree with the branches rooted in the soil and the roots reaching up to heaven. I have that on my leg here. I have that other piece right here. And then I have also a big affinity for winged animals. My spirit animal is an eagle. And so I have a big ass eagle right here.
Oh, cool.
And I have a big phoenix on my arm here. Yep.
So what of that is your favorite?
Yeah, that's a great question. Each of them has kind of like, that's a really tough one for me. I honestly will say, because I had a guy that, so Jesse Tuesday did a lot of my stuff. If you don't know Jesse, check him out, look him up. He's an amazing artist. Came up kind of with that Japanese style and just a really good guy. But I also had a guy called Chris Stanley. Chris was a tattoo artist out of Sacramento, California, who tragically he passed away. And so like he did this phoenix on my arm like before he passed away, and and it's not finished. Like and it's one of those things like, because it's not finished, I love that. I love that he wasn't able to finish it because he passed away, and like it was so I think that my phoenix is definitely probably one of my most favorite, other than like my kids' names and stuff, you know what I mean? So
those are important.
I gotta throw those in too. But I love my phoenix. Yeah.
Right. So your first tattoo, remind me again, you said you were 17?
17. So I'll just show you real quick. So it's like, you can kind of see it's on my upper thigh right here.
Yep.
Kind of a classic spot for my first one. So I went to Humboldt State University in Northern California my freshman year in college. So I was like 17, and so I was also at that time, once again, pretty angst-filled teenager. Because I wasn't a big weed smoker and pot smoker or whatever at that time, I was like chaining myself to bulldozers in the fight for environmental activism and working with a group called Earth First. And so, which is actually part of the reason why I got booted out of school. But again, another story in and of itself. So I got this tribal style tattoo that he did like fully freehand. And it's like EFHC, Earth First Hardcore. And it's like this like, full thing. And so I got it, and I was so proud of it, dude. And I remember, I'll never forget it, dude. It was so funny. We had this, your RA, right? You person that lives on your floor in your dorms. Like literally, like I had the door open and everything, like while I'm getting tattooed in the dorms. And like literally this dude walks by and he's just like, looks in, he's just like, oh, like, what do I do right now? You just tell he was just so confused, like blew his mind. Like there's no, because there's like weed smoke up and down the hall. It's so it's like, so he's dealing with all these like pot smokers, and he comes across this like punk rock kid who's getting tattooed in his door.
Oh no.
And so he's like, so anyway, like he just like closed the door and like walked away. It was so funny. Actually that was my first experience with tattooing. And then from there I was just hooked.
Right. So what plans do you have next for tattoos?
Hands. So I was in New York City with my buddy Hank, and we were cruising. We're going to like clubs and like just hanging out. We were young, you know what I'm saying? And we went to the Bowery Tattoo, and I remember walking in, and this kid was getting tattooed. He had a crown, like a crown, like a,
oh yeah,
and it was on his hand, and I was like, that is this. And I'll never. I mean, dude, this was probably like over 20 years ago, but I remember it like clear as day, like just how sick a crown looked on the palm, on the top of the hand. And I was like, that, I'm there. But like 40 years old, dude, like am I that ballsy now? But like, I don't know. Like I got like the top of the hand is probably not going to feel that great. So
I can't imagine that's going to feel awesome.
Yeah. So, but that one is definitely there. And then, but my cousin Ty, just hit me up the other day. He wants to go get some chest tattoos. So maybe that might be a little bit more in the zone here. Just some nice big chest piece. So that one I feel like that's definitely doable. So, but I think the holy grail is the crown on the hand.
Listen, I have faith that you are going to do that. I believe that you're definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
So what of your tattoos hurt the worst?
Yeah, great question. Actually, we were talking about this at dinner last night. That was so funny. Yeah. So, I mean, for sure, your elbow pit is pretty rocking. That's like not a good spot. But I remember when I got my first this first big piece on my arm, and I remember him getting after right here on the top of the shoulder where the skin is real thin, and you're just oh, I never wanted to just reach around and punch somebody in the face. It's like a natural response, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the yucky spot. But yeah, I would say those two zones were probably the gnarliest. I have a side piece right here that with the crown of thorns that goes kind of near my ribs, but I mean, I don't know if you have any rib tattoos, but
I don't.
Ribs are the gnarliest.
Yeah. That not on my plans. Definitely not on my plans. So what's next for you in fitness then?
Great question. So I am now going to be working with a company called HYROX. I'm super excited about this company because I truly believe, going to bridge the gap between what we see as elite fitness in the CrossFit space, and kind of the community driven stuff like you see at Spartan, Tough Mudder, or even Ragnar. You know what I mean? Like that. Everybody can compete, and it's there's different elements like. There's nothing like Ragnar. There's nothing like, Spartan and Tough Mudder can be kind of similar, kind of lumped into the same zone. But HYROX is going to burst into the scene here in the US, as they've done already in Europe, with a really, really well presented and well run event that's going to test fitness. And what I love about it is, kind of going into where I'm going with this is, I love strongman. I truly feel like we all should have found strongman a whole bunch of years before we found CrossFit. I think that our bodies would be in a better state.
Sure.
My cervical spine from slamming my head in the ground on a handstand push for so many years, I wouldn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Strongman embodies so many things. And so HYROX is bringing in heavy farmer carries, heavy sled pushes, some metabolic pieces with some ski ergs and rowing, all while doing kind of like a station piece where you're kind of running as well. So good bit of cardio. Cool. So I love this concept, and I'm excited to bring it to the States, and I'm excited to compete in it. I did my first one in Chicago in January pre-COVID.
Okay.
And did pretty well. The other cool thing about it too is that, and certainly CrossFit does this too, but the age group stuff is huge. I love killing myself, and I love comparing, my times to what Chandler Smith is doing, and which is ridiculous, I guess.
Right.
But I also like to know where I'm at with my own peers, right? And so that is, it's very important to do that. And so HYROX bring the age group component in there, which Ragnar does too. I love that. Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of swing over to the HYROX side. We're gonna not only bring great fitness and really kind of see where people see where the gap is between the CrossFit Games and kind of your local comp. This is a touring thing, and I just love the strong strength pieces of it.
Right, absolutely. So when can we expect to see that in the US?
So fingers crossed. We kick off in January. So it's just so much is tentative on the US getting its shit together.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the live event world is kind of in flux. But the cool thing is I'm going to be working on a bunch of different things with an online component, an online fitness competition, as just you would see for whether you're competing for Wodapalooza or Granite Games, that type of thing. So a fun little piece that gym owners can kind of throw their athletes through and kind of get people to understand what HYROX is all about. So and then hopefully keep spreading the message about what's strong, the benefits of strongman and the type of stuff. So
sure, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited to see that. Certainly something I'd compete in. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Don't let the running scare you, but because the workout stations are no joke.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. Well, last question, man. What advice would you give somebody getting their first tattoo?
Just think about it. You know, I see what to your point about like just tattoos being so pervasive in the fitness space and just society in general. You're seeing so many young kids like that are just, they get these super number one intricate tattoos. The single needle stuff, I love it. It's awesome. If you're 18 years old, imagine what that line, that little nice little line, everything's gonna look like when you're 60. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like keep the art there, or just be prepared to like touch it up and like have to mess with that thing over the years. That's what I got to say on that. And then obviously, yeah, I'm gonna sound like an old man here. Kids, don't get a freaking neck tattoo if you're 18 years old. Please.
Oh boy.
Like we're not there yet, dude. Don't do that. It's just one of those things because once again, go back to my wife. I've seen her do the tattoo removal stuff and do that shit painful. So, so just think about it. Go to a great artist. Oh, sorry, shit.
No worries.
Getting all hyped up.
I like
on
it.
Tattooing. Don't skip on. Don't go the economy route. Make sure you find the best artist you possibly can, and make sure it's something that truly you're gonna 40 years from now gonna look back and be like, wow, I'm freaking glad I got that. That's really cool. So yeah, those key things, and that's what I'm giving the advice to my kids. So we'll see if they abide by it. But yeah,
I think that's good advice, and something tells me they're gonna listen to you.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, hey Eric, man, I appreciate you taking the time. I'm excited to see HYROX come on the scene. I'm excited to see if you go hand or chest next in terms of tattoos.
I want it so bad.
There you go. And fingers crossed, we'll be crossing paths out on the event stages again soon.
You know we will, buddy. All right, man. Awesome. Thank you so much, dude.
You got it. Thanks, Eric. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, see ya.
All right, see ya.